And welcome back to the show. Coping with vision loss can be difficult when someone loses their vision. There are many day-to-day activities that actually become challenging. The challenges it poses can seem overwhelming at times. It may result in feelings of anxiety, frustration, sadness, anger, and sometimes even depression. Visions help those in need learn the techniques to live with vision loss and remain active at school, home, work, and in the community. Now, joining us to tell a little bit more details is a licensed clinical social worker and director of rehab social work services at Visions, Constantina Bucala. Then we've also got licensed master social workers at Rehabilitation Social Worker at Visions. We've got Lisa Javutsky, and then we've also got Kimon Coley. And thank you all for joining us here on Open.
Thank you for having us.
So when we talk about really outlining those who suffer with vision loss, I wonder if, and I'll start first off, I guess, with maybe I'll start off with Lisa. Give us a little bit about maybe what we don't know about the challenges of those persons that actually have vision loss.
Well, I think it depends somewhat on whether or not that vision loss occurred at birth or later in life. For someone who has a congenital condition that they've had time to adjust to, sometimes that adjustment process can be a little easier. For someone, though, who loses their vision later in life, that can be a little more challenging, and it can really affect every aspect of someone's life. I'm legally blind and lost my vision later in life. And while I come to you now as a professional social worker, very well adjusted, that was a long and difficult process. And one of the things that Visions really excels at, I think, is helping people to get through that process.
Yeah. Constantine, talk about getting through that process. From a personal experience, my father was legally blind as well. He started off with sight and later on lost his eyesight at an adult age and for probably the last 20 years of his life. But I do know that there were a series of times when frustration and just really trying to walk somebody, he needed somebody to help walk him through it. And I know that's a part of what you do.
Yeah, so at the Vision Rehab Department, we provide adjustment to vision loss counseling for people who are dealing with vision loss, adjusting at different points in their lives. We also provide additional services in the home, including vision rehab and orientation and mobility, which helps people with their activities of daily living in the home, and also traveling within their neighborhood and on public transportation. And we really work together with the rest of the team to help people who are adjusting to their vision loss deal with the emotional impact of having to do things differently and having to reach out for help. I too am visually impaired myself. I was diagnosed as a young child and have been actually experiencing progressive vision loss over the course of my lifetime. So there's been a lot of mini adjustments. And that is something that a lot of our clients that come to us also work with. So it's not always a one and done type of scenario, but a lot of times as your vision changes, you have to constantly make adjustments. And there could be anxiety and depression associated with that. Also, if people had past traumas on anything else, and also sometimes people experience vision loss as a trauma. And then grief and loss is, of course, a big part of it. Yeah.
So Kimon, tell me a little bit about the work that you do.
Okay, so I do adjustment to blindness counseling. I also provide case management services, and I work with all lifespans. So that's children, adults, and seniors. I provide one-on-one therapy. I also offer groups. I have done youth groups. I also try to connect individuals to resources.
Yeah. And when we speak about resources, any of you can jump in and share a little bit about this here. What are some of the additional resources that are available for those who are either visually impaired or have lost their sight?
Well, I think some of those resources can be very concrete, practical things. Um, making sure that any benefits that the person is eligible for, they're connected with. Um, Services like paratransit, which is for people who really can't manage public transportation effectively. Um, and then it can also be things like support groups, accessible physical and cultural activities. It's really a wide range, and it's very much dependent on the individual in terms of what they're looking for, what their needs are, and what's available. That was a very big challenge during COVID. It's starting to open up a little bit more now, but a lot of those things that we would connect people with were not available. And that really increased the sense of isolation and disconnection for a lot of our.
Yeah. Constantina, give me a little bit more on that, because we haven't talked about COVID, and I know that that's been adversely impacting a lot of people, but for yourself and then those that you serve, what have been those challenges? Because I know, just being able to connect and access to resources are actually huge, but in a place when we're in a shutdown, those things become extremely hard.
Yes, because we were used to providing in-home and community-based services with our other departments. It was a big challenge, and isolation was a big challenge. So the way we rose to the occasion is that we really adjusted to telehealth, which included telephone, especially for a lot of our seniors where technology was an issue. And Zoom, Google Meets, other video conferencing ways of reaching our clients. And in many ways, because other services, like Lisa mentioned, were not, volunteer services that would go and visit the homes, weren't doing that anymore. We really stepped in as being the daily or weekly contact for people, and also connecting them with like the emergency food program that New York City provided. A lot of us really helped to just connect them with the services, because sometimes technology was a barrier for people, especially our seniors.
Yeah. Come on, as we wrap up, talk to us about how you feel the morale is for those now that we're kind of like moving out of COVID a little bit, a lot, I should say. We're a whole lot better than where we were last March. But what's the morale of clients?
I think they are excited in a sense to be able to try to come out of the home and see their loved ones. A lot of the clients, although I work with the all lifespan, a lot of my clients have been seniors. And so I see a lot of isolation in that population. And then with the laws limiting how many times, the type of visitations that they might receive. So their loved ones wasn't coming around to see them as much because they were elderly and they were at-risk population. So I see a huge increase in isolation in our population. And even they used to go out for a walk, or they used to go to the supermarket by themselves. That was really affected. So now that it's getting a little better, they're now trying to go out, are taking more opportunities from our services in our other departments as well. So we just hope that morale begins to increase more in our population, and we can continue to help support them from our department as well.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much. The work that you do is so essential. Glad to have you sharing with us here on the show, and thank you for it. And hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, we want to let you know now, if you want more information, what you want to do is you want to be able to visit them at visionsvcb.org. And then also you can follow them on social media. You can follow them at visionsvcb. Again, thank you to the ladies for joining us. Listen, we've got more show. Don't go anywhere. Open continues when we return right after this.